What if I told you that a coin worth just 5 cents could be hiding a secret that has sent collectors into a frenzy for decades? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an ordinary-looking Jefferson nickel, and discovering that it might be connected to one of the most fascinating treasure hunts in American coin collecting. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1999 D Jefferson Nickel, a coin that millions of Americans have handled without ever realizing the mysteries and opportunities it can hold. At first glance, the 1999 D Jefferson Nickel doesn't look special at all. It's small, familiar, and easy to overlook. But sometimes, the most ordinary objects tell the most extraordinary stories. And the story of this nickel begins in a year when the world itself was preparing for a historic transition. The year was 1999. The 20th century was coming to an end. People around the globe were worried about the Y2K computer bug, technology companies were booming, and Americans were unknowingly spending millions of Jefferson nickels that would eventually become the focus of collectors, treasure hunters, and coin enthusiasts. The Jefferson Nickel itself has a remarkable history that stretches back to 1938. It was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and the third president of the United States. The design replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured a portrait of Jefferson on the front and his beloved home, Monticello, on the back. The 1999 D nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin. That year, the Denver Mint produced more than 635 million Jefferson nickels. With numbers like that, you might think there's nothing rare or valuable about them. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. In the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always determined by how many coins were produced. Sometimes it's about survival. Sometimes it's about errors. And sometimes it's about finding the one extraordinary coin hiding among millions of ordinary ones. For decades, collectors have searched through rolls of Jefferson nickels looking for unusual varieties, minting mistakes, and exceptionally preserved examples. Most people spend nickels without a second thought. Collectors, however, know that every coin tells a story, and sometimes those stories can become incredibly valuable. One of the reasons the 1999 D Jefferson Nickel has attracted attention is because finding one in pristine condition is surprisingly difficult. Think about it. Nickels are workhorses of American commerce. They pass through countless hands, vending machines, cash registers, and pockets. Very few survive without scratches, wear, or damage. Now imagine finding a 1999 D nickel that looks almost exactly as it did on the day it left the Denver Mint. Suddenly, that common 5-cent coin becomes something far more interesting. Professional grading companies use a scale from 1 to 70 to evaluate coins. The difference between a grade of MS65 and MS67 may sound minor, but in the coin market, it can mean the difference between a few dollars and hundreds of dollars. Some of the finest known examples of the 1999 D Jefferson Nickel have sold for surprisingly strong prices simply because they are so perfectly preserved. Collectors compete fiercely for these elite specimens, knowing that only a tiny fraction of the hundreds of millions produced remain in such exceptional condition. But condition is only part of the mystery. What truly excites treasure hunters are mint errors. Throughout American history, minting errors have transformed ordinary coins into legendary discoveries. Double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies, missing details. These manufacturing mistakes create one-of-a-kind pieces that collectors eagerly pursue. Could an ordinary 1999 D nickel hiding in a forgotten coin jar contain one of these rare errors? The answer is yes. Over the years, collectors have discovered numerous Jefferson Nickel errors from various dates, proving that even modern coins can hide extraordinary surprises. Every unopened roll, every old piggy bank, and every inherited coin collection carries the possibility of revealing something unexpected. And that's exactly what keeps the treasure hunt alive. Consider this for a moment. How many times have you received change at a grocery store and immediately placed the coins into a drawer or jar without looking at them? What if one of those coins contained a rare mint error? What if a coin worth 5 cents was actually worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the right collector? These questions have fueled countless searches across America. The design itself also carries enormous historical significance. Thomas Jefferson wasn't merely a president. He was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, an architect, a philosopher, and a visionary who helped shape the United States. Monticello, the mansion featured on the reverse of the nickel, was Jefferson's lifelong project. Located in Virginia, the estate became one of the most recognizable symbols of early American history. Every time Americans spent a Jefferson nickel, they carried a small piece of that history in their hands. There's something poetic about that. A simple coin, used to buy a cup of coffee or a newspaper, also serves as a miniature monument to one of America's most influential figures. Yet despite this rich history, millions of Jefferson nickels disappear every year through loss, damage, and neglect. Coins are discarded, forgotten, melted, or simply worn beyond recognition. This gradual disappearance means that the population of collectible examples continues to shrink over time. This creates an intriguing question. What will happen decades from now when future collectors begin searching for pristine examples of coins from the end of the 20th century? Could today's overlooked pocket change become tomorrow's prized collectible? History suggests that it's entirely possible. Some of the world's most valuable coins were once considered ordinary. Many famous rarities escaped notice for years before collectors recognized their significance. The difference between treasure and trash often comes down to one thing: knowledge. And that's why collectors continue searching. They search through bankrolls. They search through estate sales. They search through forgotten jars sitting on shelves for decades. Because every collector understands one fundamental truth: you never know what you might find until you look. The 1999 D Jefferson Nickel may not be the rarest coin ever produced. It may not command millions of dollars at auction, but its story represents something much bigger than monetary value. It represents curiosity. It represents history. And above all, it represents possibility. The possibility that extraordinary discoveries still exist in ordinary places. So the next time you receive change from a cashier, pause for a moment before tossing those coins aside. Look closely at that Jefferson nickel. Check the date. Find the mint mark. Examine the details. Because somewhere out there, hidden among millions of ordinary coins, a remarkable discovery may still be waiting. And who knows? The next great treasure hunt in American coin collecting might begin with a single nickel sitting quietly in your pocket right now. If you enjoyed uncovering the fascinating story behind the 1999 D Jefferson Nickel, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible journeys into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the extraordinary stories hiding in plain sight. Because sometimes, history's greatest treasures aren't buried underground. Sometimes, they're already in your hands. What if I told you that a coin worth just 5 cents could spark rumors of hidden fortunes, treasure hunts, and shocking discoveries across America? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an ordinary-looking nickel, and wondering whether you just found a coin that could change your life forever. Today, we're diving into one of the most talked-about modern American coins among casual collectors and treasure hunters alike, the 2000 P Thomas Jefferson Monticello Nickel. It's a coin that millions of Americans have handled without a second thought. Yet, over the years, stories of rare errors, mysterious valuations, and extraordinary discoveries have transformed this humble 5-cent piece into something far more fascinating than anyone could have imagined. But here's the question that keeps collectors searching through jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. Could an ordinary 2000 P Jefferson Nickel really be worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? To answer that question, we have to travel back to the year 2000. America stood at the dawn of a new millennium. The internet was rapidly changing daily life. The Y2K panic had just passed, and quietly, at the Philadelphia Mint, millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels were being struck for circulation. The Jefferson Nickel itself had already been part of American life for more than 6 decades. First introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured one of America's most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. The reverse displayed Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate, an architectural masterpiece that reflected his passion for design, philosophy, and the ideals of the young American Republic. The coin's designer, Felix Schlag, created a design that would become one of the longest-running coin series in American history. For generations, Americans carried Jefferson Nickels in their pockets without realizing they were carrying a tiny piece of national history. By the year 2000, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 846 million Jefferson Nickels. That's right, hundreds of millions. At first glance, that enormous mintage number would seem to destroy any possibility of rarity. After all, how can a coin be valuable when nearly 1 billion examples exist? That's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Experienced collectors know that rarity isn't always about how many coins were produced. Sometimes it's about how many survived in exceptional condition. Other times, it's about mistakes, tiny errors made during the minting process that transformed ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles. And the 2000 P Jefferson Nickel has become famous for exactly that reason. Most examples found in circulation today are worth only face value, 5 cents, perhaps a few dollars if preserved in exceptional condition. Yet certain examples have attracted serious attention from collectors due to their remarkable quality or unusual minting characteristics. Some collectors spend years searching for what's known as a full steps example. If you look closely at the image of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin, you'll notice a series of steps leading up to the building. On many nickels, these steps appear weak, worn, or incomplete due to the striking process. But on rare, exceptionally struck examples, the steps remain fully visible and sharply defined. To collectors, those tiny steps can mean the difference between a common coin and a highly desirable treasure. Imagine examining hundreds, even thousands of nickels under magnification, searching for that one perfect example. It sounds obsessive, yet for dedicated numismatists, that's precisely what makes the hunt so thrilling. Then there are the mint errors. Throughout American coinage history, mint errors have fascinated collectors because they represent moments when a manufacturing process briefly went wrong. Off-center strikes, déclics, double strikes, mise à l'indice. Each error tells a story of a split-second mechanical imperfection that escaped quality control. The year 2000 Jefferson Nickel series contains examples of these fascinating anomalies. Some exhibit unusual die breaks. Others display striking irregularities that make each piece unique. While most error coins sell for modest amounts, exceptional examples can command significant premiums. And that's where rumors begin. In the age of the internet, stories spread quickly. Headlines claiming that ordinary pocket change is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars attract millions of views. Suddenly, people across America begin checking every nickel they encounter. Grandparents search through old coin jars. Children raid piggy banks. Treasure hunters visit banks requesting rolls of nickels. But can a 2000 P Jefferson Nickel really be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The truth is both more exciting and more complicated. A standard circulated 2000 P Jefferson Nickel is generally worth only its face value. Even uncirculated examples often sell for relatively modest amounts. However, exceptional specimens, particularly those graded at the highest levels by professional grading services and exhibiting rare characteristics, can achieve dramatically higher prices. This creates a fascinating psychological phenomenon within the collecting world. Every ordinary coin suddenly becomes a possibility. Every nickel in your pocket transforms from spare change into a mystery waiting to be solved. And perhaps that's why coin collecting has captivated humanity for centuries. Throughout history, people have searched for buried treasure, hidden fortunes, and forgotten riches. Ancient Roman coins discovered in fields. Pirate treasure recovered from shipwrecks. Rare gold coins found in attic boxes decades after being forgotten. The dream remains the same, that something ordinary could secretly be extraordinary. The Jefferson Nickel embodies that dream perfectly. Think about Thomas Jefferson himself. He was a philosopher, inventor, diplomat, architect, and president. He believed deeply in curiosity, discovery, and the pursuit of knowledge. In a strange way, the millions of Americans searching through Jefferson Nickels today are continuing a tradition Jefferson himself might have appreciated, asking questions, seeking answers, and exploring the unknown. What stories could your pocket change tell? How many coins have passed through thousands of hands before reaching yours? Could a coin sitting unnoticed in an old coffee can have traveled across all 50 states? Could it have been used to buy a newspaper, a cup of coffee, or a child's first candy bar? Coins are more than metal discs. They're witnesses to history. The 2000 P Jefferson Nickel may never become the rarest coin in American history. It may never rival legendary treasures like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel or the 1804 silver dollar. Its true value lies somewhere deeper than price guides and auction records. It lies in possibility, because every collector remembers the moment they first wondered, what if? What if this ordinary coin isn't ordinary at all? What if this tiny piece of metal holds a secret? What if treasure has been hiding in plain sight all along? So the next time you receive change at a store, take a second look at those nickels. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study the details. Because while most 2000 P Jefferson Nickels are worth only 5 cents, the thrill of discovery is priceless. And who knows? The next great coin story might begin with a single nickel sitting quietly in your pocket right now. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of American coins, mysteries, and treasure hunting, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible stories hiding in plain sight. Because history isn't always found in museums. Sometimes it's waiting in your spare change. The coin sitting in your pocket right now could be worth far more than 5 cents. In fact, some collectors have spent years searching through ordinary pocket change, hoping to discover a hidden treasure that everyone else overlooked. And among the millions of nickels struck in the United States, one modern coin has quietly sparked curiosity, debate, and excitement among collectors across America. The 2006 D Jefferson Nickel. While most people spend it without a second thought, certain examples of this coin have sold for astonishing amounts, raising one incredible question. Could a seemingly ordinary nickel really be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? To understand why the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel has captured the imagination of collectors, we need to travel back more than 2 centuries to one of the most influential figures in American history, Thomas Jefferson himself. Thomas Jefferson was not only the 3rd president of the United States, but also the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, a diplomat, philosopher, architect, and visionary whose influence shaped the very foundation of America. For decades, Jefferson's image has appeared on the 5-cent coin, making it one of the most recognizable pieces of currency ever produced in the United States. The Jefferson Nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, the coin featured a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his beloved Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. For generations of Americans, this design became a familiar symbol of everyday commerce. But in 2004 and 2005, the United States Mint temporarily redesigned the Jefferson Nickel to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition. Then, in 2006, something historic happened. The Mint introduced a completely redesigned Jefferson portrait created by artist Jamie Franke, marking the first major permanent change to Jefferson's image on the nickel in nearly 7 decades. The result was the 2006 Jefferson Nickel we know today. At first glance, the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel appears ordinary. The front features a detailed, forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse returns to the iconic image of Monticello. But collectors immediately noticed something significant. This was the beginning of a new era for one of America's longest-running coin series. The D Mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most productive mints in American history. In 2006 alone, the Denver Mint produced more than 900 million Jefferson Nickels. Specifically, approximately 926 million 2016 nickels entered circulation, making the coin anything but rare in terms of mintage. So if nearly 1 billion were produced, why are collectors talking about this coin today? The answer lies in one of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting: condition rarity. Imagine 2 identical nickels produced on the same day. One gets dropped into a cash register, passes through thousands of hands, and eventually becomes worn and damaged. The other is carefully preserved, untouched by circulation, retaining every microscopic detail exactly as it appeared when it left the mint. To the average person, both coins are worth 5 cents. To collectors, however, the difference can be worth thousands of dollars. Professional grading companies evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 70 representing a theoretically perfect coin. For modern coins, achieving grades of MS 67, MS 68, or higher can be extraordinarily difficult, even when millions were produced. And that's where the story of the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel becomes truly intriguing. While ordinary circulated examples remain worth face value, exceptionally preserved specimens have attracted serious attention in the collector market. Certain high-grade examples certified by major grading services have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. But over time, internet rumors and viral social media posts began circulating extraordinary claims. Some videos and articles suggested that rare 2006 D nickels could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, with figures reaching as high as $926,000 appearing in headlines and online discussions. Could this possibly be true? The reality is both fascinating and important to understand. There is currently no verified public auction record confirming a standard 2006 D Jefferson Nickel selling for $926,000. However, these extraordinary valuations often emerge from speculative listings, misunderstandings, hypothetical values for unique error coins, or sensationalized online reports designed to attract attention. Yet this doesn't make the search any less exciting. Because hidden among millions of ordinary coins, genuine mint errors do exist. Throughout American coin history, accidental minting errors have transformed common coins into legendary collectibles. Double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other manufacturing mistakes can dramatically increase a coin's value. For the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel, collectors closely examine examples for unusual characteristics. Some search for double dies, where parts of the design appear duplicated due to errors during die creation. Others hunt for off-center strikes or dramatic die defects that make a coin visually unique. The truth is that discovering a genuine major error coin remains one of the greatest thrills in numismatics. Imagine finding a nickel in your spare change that appears slightly unusual. You set it aside, curious but skeptical. Months later, after professional authentication, you learn that you've discovered a previously undocumented mint error worth thousands of dollars. Stories like these have happened before. And that possibility, the idea that treasure could be hiding in plain sight, is precisely what keeps millions of collectors searching. But the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel represents something even more meaningful than potential financial value. It symbolizes a uniquely American tradition. For generations, families have searched through jars of old coins together. Grandparents have passed collections to their grandchildren. Treasure hunters have spent countless evenings examining pocket change under magnifying glasses, hoping to uncover history hidden in everyday objects. Every coin tells a story. The 2006 D Jefferson Nickel may have purchased a cup of coffee in Colorado, traveled across dozens of states, sat forgotten in a dresser drawer for years, or passed through thousands of hands before ending up in your pocket today. Where has your nickel been? Who carried it? What moments in history did it silently witness? These questions transform an ordinary 5-cent coin into something much more profound, a tiny piece of American history. Collectors also appreciate the artistic significance of the 2006 redesign. Jamie Frankie's portrait of Jefferson broke from decades of tradition by presenting a more dynamic, lifelike image. It reflected a modern approach to coin artistry while preserving the historical legacy of one of America's most important founding fathers. Today, the 2006 D Jefferson Nickel continues to occupy a fascinating place in the world of coin collecting. It is common enough that anyone can find one, yet interesting enough to inspire countless searches, discussions, and discoveries. And perhaps that's what makes this coin so captivating. Not because every example is worth a fortune. Not because a guaranteed treasure awaits. But because every time someone examines a simple 5-cent coin, they participate in a tradition stretching back generations. The eternal human hope that extraordinary discoveries might still be hiding among ordinary things. So the next time you receive change at a store, pause for just a moment before dropping that nickel into your pocket. Look carefully at the date. Search for the tiny D mint mark. Examine the details of Jefferson's portrait and the image of Monticello. Because while most 2006 D Jefferson Nickels will always be worth only 5 cents, history has taught us something remarkable. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones everyone else overlooks. And who knows? Your next handful of change might contain a story worth far more than money.